The biggest problem that I see that everyone suffers from a little bit is they're doing too much. They've got too many ideas, too many topics, too many business models, too many revenue streams, too many platforms, too many audiences. And the reason that they never become known for something, known for the thing, is that they're diluted. And one of our core philosophies is that diluted focus gets diluted results. You can take any successful entrepreneur or business as a case study example, and you'll find the exact same thing. I mean, Amazon is one of the great business case studies. Amazon didn't start by selling everything. They started by selling one thing. What was it?
Books. Yeah.
Books, right? They didn't become known for selling everything that they do today. They had very intentional focus. How do we become known for this one thing? And then once they became known for that thing, then they expanded. What a lot of people do today is before they become known for one thing, they start doing another thing and another thing and another thing. And they're just spread too thin.
Welcome back to Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Mike DiCioccio, and today's guest is a true powerhouse in the world of personal branding and entrepreneurship. She's an accomplished author, a dynamic speaker, and the CEO of Brand Builders Group, a company that has helped thousands of America's most trusted voices and top personalities expand their influence and grow their revenue. She's also the co-author of the newly released book, Wealthy and Well-Known: Build Your Personal Brand and Turn Your Reputation into Revenue. It's a playbook that provides a laser-focused system for transforming your reputation into a thriving business. Welcome to the show, co-host of the influential personal brand podcast, AJ Vaden.
Hey, thank you so much. That was a fantastic introduction, and a quick kudos to you for doing research on your guests. It's like, I go on so many shows where they're like, okay, so tell me who you are again. And you did such a phenomenal job of researching me, which means this is going to be a great show.
Well, I appreciate the shout out there. And yeah, like the way when I produce or host a show, it's like you're coming into my house and we're hanging out, we're having a virtual cup of coffee with an audience that's like the fly on the wall. And so for me to make sure we do the best for them, they're going to give us a half hour, an hour of their time. We want to make sure it's great. And if I don't know who you are and who I'm talking to, then that's usually kind of a sloppy conversation. So I appreciate the love there. And anyone who's not familiar with AJ yet, I want you to know that her website, her social media, her book is linked in the show notes. And the brand new book that just came out like a month ago is in there and waiting for you guys to get it on Amazon or directly from her website, which I have linked in here as well. And before we get into the book, because we're going to talk about it, AJ, I have it ordered already, and I'm looking forward to reading it. But we're going to talk about that in a second. Before we do, I want to get back into the little girl growing up. Like, when did you fall in love with personal branding, and how did that all come about?
You know, it's interesting. I went to school as an art major, and probably 3 semesters prior to graduation, my dad said, okay, I didn't really think you were going to go through with this whole art degree thing. Like, whoa, like, are you going to get a real job, a real major? Like, what are we doing here? I think he was so terrified that he'd be supporting me for the rest of his life. I had enough credits to change my major with only 3 semesters left in college to advertising. And so I started down this advertising path, and I realized 2 things in my last 3 semesters of college is that, number one, I knew that I didn't want to be an employee. I realized that very quickly. And then the second thing is that I realized that there was an art to business if you do it right. And I think that began the beginning of my love and interest of what's the mixture of the art and the passion side of the creative in all of us, and how do you mix that with something that was really important to me, which is how do I support myself and make money and all the other things that come with business. And I think that began this interesting path that led to entrepreneurship. And my very first job out of college was actually starting a business with 3 other guys. And I was 22. So let's just call it the blessing of naivety. Had no idea what we were doing. I don't think they really knew what they were doing either, to be fair. And we started this business in our very first year. We did $1 million. And this was back in 2006. And we were putting on public sales seminars. And this was in the day where Brian Tracy and Tom Hopkins were still selling tickets at car dealerships and real estate offices and insurance offices. And in fact, Tony Robbins' team was still going door to door to businesses selling tickets before he was the Tony Robbins of today. So we were selling tickets. And let me just tell you how this worked.
He was Anthony Robbins back then.
Yes, that's right. Before he cut the first half. So, I mean, this is literally what we did. This is in 2006. And I'm not exaggerating, not one little bit. We would walk into a city, drive into a city, I guess, technically. We would take the yellow pages and we would divide up the alphabet. I'm talking real yellow pages, actual paper. And the very first city we started this business in was in San Jose, California. And I was most certainly the least experienced of these individuals. And so they gave me the alphabet letters W, X, Y, and Z. And I didn't know any better. And so I started calling. And what I didn't know at the time that turned out to be this beautiful blessing is those alphabet letters contained things like Wells Fargo and all of these big national accounts that I started working with. So what I would do is I would call on the local Wells Fargo mortgage office, invite myself into their sales meeting with their loan officers, and I would conduct a free 1-hour sales training workshop, as long as at the end I could offer everyone in attendance to buy tickets to this larger conference that we would be putting on in 3 to 4 months. And that is what I did. And I cold called. Literally cold called my way around the country. I lived in 14 cities in 4.5 years. Everything I owned fit in my car for 4.5 years. And I would go to a new city, take the relationships I built in Washington, D.C., then travel to Orlando, take the referrals. And that's what began this passion of what is a personal brand and what happens when you can build a reputation that precedes you. Because what I learned very early in my entrepreneurial career, and I'm talking early 20s, is that you could have a nationwide business. I could walk into a city that I'd never been in before and already have a full list of contacts, of referrals, of relationships that I had built before I even got there because of the relationship and the reputation that I had in Orlando or DC or Milwaukee or Austin. And there became this incredible awareness of the power of a reputation, which what we say is that a personal brand is just the formalization, the digitization, and the monetization of your reputation.
Yeah, that's really good. Say that last line one more time.
Is that a personal brand is simply the formalization, the digitization, and the monetization of your reputation.
Yeah, that's really well said. I know I could tell you guys spent time articulating that. There's so much that I want to unpack from what you just said before we move on. And like I said, we're going to get to your book. Couple things. You were literally a business rock star going city to city in your car, packed up with probably those pull-up signs, if you even had them at the time.
And a flip chart.
Going expo to expo and, Wells Fargo meeting, the Wells Fargo style meeting and a flip chart. Making it happen, 22 years old, couple of guy friends that have this business idea and you're like, we're going to freaking run with it. I get excited, like Christmas morning, that energy you have when you're 6 years old. When I just heard you tell that story, I'm like, I wanted to start a new business. And AJ, what are we doing? Let's go out and pick up the phone and go city to city. That's one thing that was really exciting in your story right there. And the other thing is talking about how you built your reputation by just being consistent. You showed up over and over again. People knew what to get. You did a great job. You were so green, but you didn't let that stop you from being confident. I'm sure in the beginning that was not easy. Did you have any sales background going into being 22 and starting a business, or you just figured it out?
It's so funny that we're having this conversation. Laying in bed last night, and with my husband, who's my business partner. Yeah. And
shout out to Rory.
He was my business partner before we fell in love and got married, and he was one of those 3 guys that I started that first business with. And that's how we met.
He knew what he was doing, by the way. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. We're going, AJ AJ's going to come around. Oh, I'm going to show her what I can do. And then he put a ring on it. Good for him.
Yeah. And I'm the lucky girl. I will say that. But no, I even when it was my middle school to high school and college best friend is the one who recruited me into this business and then introduced me to Rory. And even when he was recruiting me into this business, I kept asking myself, what do you want me to do in this business? Like, I wasn't like, and he goes, "You're the smartest person I know." And I'm like, yeah, it's like, you just don't hang around a lot of smart people. I take it as a compliment, but like, I don't really know if you know what you're doing. And I said
you
yes.
You were unintentionally being humble is what you were doing.
And I honestly said yes, because this is how he recruited me. He said, "AJ, listen, there's 3 of us guys. We're starting this business. We want you to come in on the ground floor with us. We want you to start this business with us." And he goes, "And here's how it's going to be. We're going to move to San Jose, California. We're going to eat sushi every day, and we can make phone calls by the pool." And I was like, "I like sushi. I could do calls by the pool." I mean, that is literally the recruiting conversation that happened at age 22. And when I took the job, I had no actual idea that I would be the one doing sales presentations and making cold calls. Like that just never came up in the conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have
I got the appointment. Now who's going to show up in Texas and do this appointment?
I don't know if I would have said yes if I had asked enough of the right questions. I consider that ignorance bliss. Yeah. And so when I say I had no experience, I had no experiences. This was straight up. It was literally, it is sink or swim. And I say that, and like, there was no training. There was no help. There was no support. This was sink or swim. It was. But
that's like a great thing, AJ. I just want to interject real quick, because a lot of times when people get overcalculated and they think of every risk that can happen and what if this goes wrong or that, you spend 6 months, 12 months. Now they're talking about it. They're thinking about it. They're building all these different iterations before the first product or service even gets to market. And you just ran with it in a what was it? You just said a great word right there. Ignorance bliss, I think was what you said. And that's how I feel everyone needs to really start their business, with a little bit of ignorance. It's blissful because you go at it and you need to get out there to learn and get beat up a little bit and get stronger and figure it out. I'm not saying go in blindsided completely, but like, too many people don't get started because they're afraid.
That's true.
You didn't even know what to be afraid of, which was the bliss part of it. So
that was I agree. A lot of people get, paralysis by analysis, and we didn't have that. We didn't know any better. And if you just remember, when this was in 2006, right? Yeah. So this was
by my bad math right now. I think you're the smart one, right? Remember, I think we're about the same age then, because so you were just getting out of college and it was around, So
I graduated college 2005. Started this business first year out of college. Not the best economic time to start a business. But again, we didn't know any better economy. This was as good of economy as we all knew. And there was so much of that this is on the job training. And it was fail as fast as you can and learn even faster.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. Like, I learned this from Grant Cardone. Love him or hate him, I always take the good from everybody. But I took this message from him at the time when I was listening to a lot of podcasts and watching him do some speeches early on. And he was saying, the whole world's in turmoil. Like, there's this big market crash. Everybody was tightening up. He's like, that's when I was in expansion mode, because everybody else is kind of staggering. And it's like a boxer who's kind of like off their balance. It's like, now you can strike. But in his way, it's like, and he's also selling at that time, like sales training and stuff like that. Businesses need to be better than ever with their sales if there's a market issue. So he needed to be even stronger. And so grow through adversity. There's a lot of companies that grew through COVID because they were able to be nimble and quick on their feet. And a lot of the smaller become like the speedboats that can pivot quicker. Were able to be successful, where the big sluggish ocean battleships, ocean liners took forever to adapt to COVID, and a lot of them sunk with it. So you didn't even know what, you didn't know what you didn't know, which was a blessing. And let's go back even further. You went to college, like art school. Your dad was afraid he was going to be supporting you forever because you're going to be like, he maybe thought you're going to be on the sidewalk selling artwork.
Starting
and by the way, if is someone's dream. I think it's an incredible thing. There's people that do that literally and they live happily ever after. What kind of art were you doing though? Was it drawing, painting, graphic design?
Painting.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that was going to be a hard path forward.
Sure.
And
Either you make no money or you make $1 million, right?
There's
These
not
artists,
a lot of in between. There's not a lot of in between.
These galleries, they sit there and everybody's looking at it. You can't even tell what they're looking at. And they're like, that one went for 450,000 and this one. And then AJ's here like, I'm just trying to get in.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you, I've got one of our good friends is an amazing, thriving artist here in Nashville. And, it's like his average painting. And he's probably like the great career trajectory for a today's thriving artist. And, his paintings started at selling for 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. Now they're 20,000, 50,000. And he sells a lot. And I'm like, Ed, you're doing it. You're doing the thing. And what I have learned is like my new art is Canva. Right. And so there's a way to expand in all of it. But I think my dad knew that because I think he also realized like this was more of a hobby than it was something that I really wanted to do for a career.
Like a high-end hobby, basically. I can understand and appreciate that. And something you said, I don't want to just maul right past it. You said you took that creativity. I don't know if you actually said this in your own words, but like that artistic background you had, you use that art into creativity in the business. So like when you had to get crafty and figure things out and do a presentation, you had the understanding of what good art looks like. And you said, I created the art of business. And I think that's something that my background in art is music. And I always have a musical understanding of how things come together, like a song coming together. It's how projects come together, right? And we're all kind of playing the same song together once we're on the same page. It's similar artistic understanding and appreciation. So I think that's really cool. Is there anything you want to add about how art really set you up? Do you feel to be creative and be successful in those early years?
100%. I think one of those important things that I learned about art was the eye for detail. And I believe that any successful business has extreme attention to detail when it comes to the customer experience, the employee experience, the lead attraction, the lead acquisition, any retention, just even the little things of going like the colors and the feeling. So we put on a ton of live events in our company. Yeah. Like we do 36 events every year, 16 in person, 20% virtual,
That's
or 20 of them virtual. And experience.
This is for business builders, correct?
Yes,
business
for
builders.
Everyone who's building their personal brand to help them grow their business.
Right. But the name of the company for anyone tuning in is Business Builders, as I mentioned.
Brand Builders.
Brand builders. I'm sorry. Brand Builders. And then quick question before you move on. Was that the same company that you started back when you were 22? No, different. Okay.
No.
All right.
Brand Builders, we started as our second company. 2018 is when we kicked that off. Our first company was solely a sales training, sales coaching, sales consulting business, which was amazing preparation to be able to start Brand Builders Group and grow it at the accelerated rate that we had. We wouldn't have been able to do this the way that we had if we hadn't had the unbelievable sales experience from the prior 13 years. But I would
Which
just
is
say,
why you need to get started, everybody, and have that first 13 years, folks. Like sometimes it's 13 weeks, 13 months. Get started, get out there, learn. It's the stepping stone into her greatness now that she's doing. I guarantee, had you gone and done something else after college, and even if you had a great sales job or something that would be a stepping stone, that stepping stone is so you can now thrive and be in your greatness today. But it took all of that, and the good, the bad, the ugly, you put it in collectively, and now it's who you are.
Yeah, it's like I'll say it's 20 years to an overnight success, right?
Yeah. I remember the band REM. You've heard of REM.
Oh, yeah.
Losing Your Religion was a big hit in the 90s. They came on the scene in the 90s and someone interviewed him and was like, man, you guys are just all over the place and overnight success. He's like, overnight success. We played in every dive bar for the last 10 years, every weekend until anyone even knew who the hell we were. So no, it's what you're doing underneath the surface level to build. Yeah.
Always.
But, so do we want to get into the book?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So first of all, congratulations again. It's called Wealthy and Well-Known, which is a great title. It's catchy. It is on the website and Amazon, and it's also been endorsed by some of the biggest names in the industry. Some of my favorites like Lewis Howes, Jenna Kutcher, John Maxwell, Ed Milet. Those are it's like the Mount Rushmore of people in our space. The book talks about how you can help people build their personal brand, obviously, and turn their reputation into revenue. So we're in a saturated world right now with influencers. Everybody, I don't want to say everybody's an influencer, but there's a million people looking to start and build a brand that way. What would you say is the key? Like if we can just isolate it down to one common denominator you see with all of your clients that stands out, helps them break through as a personal brand. There's like something you absolutely need, this magic element. What would you say that is?
Yeah. And I'll start by telling you what happens when people don't break through, because I think that's probably more common. I think that the biggest problem that I see that everyone suffers from a little bit is they're doing too much. They've got too many ideas, too many topics, too many business models, too many revenue streams, too many platforms, too many audiences. And the reason that they never become known for something, known for the thing, is that they're diluted. And one of our core philosophies is that diluted focus gets diluted results. And for the people who have become extraordinarily well known, some of the people that you just mentioned, is because they made a decision at some point along the way to go all in on becoming known for one thing. You can take any successful entrepreneur or business as a case study example, and you'll find the exact same thing. I mean, Amazon is one of the great business case studies. Amazon didn't start by selling everything. They started by selling one thing. What was it?
Books. Yeah.
Books, right? They didn't become known for selling everything that they do today. They had very intentional focus into breaking through what we call the wall. We call it Sheehan's wall. And they had laser focus on how do we become known for this one thing? And then once they became known for that thing, then they expanded. What a lot of people do today is before they become known for one thing, they start doing another thing and another thing and another thing, or talking about a new topic or adding a new audience or a new platform. And they're just spread too thin. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough energy or focus to give it everything that it's required to become known for something if you're trying to become known for 10 things at one time. And you can take any personal brand and it's the same thing. I like to use the example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? If you go way back, what was The Rock originally known for?
Wasn't his name Rocky? It was something with an M, right? Is that what you're asking me? What his original name was before he was just The Rock? What was he known for? Wrestling. Yeah,
WWE.
Wrestling, yeah.
He became known as a WWE wrestler. That is how he became known.
But I remember when he first came on, he wasn't even The Rock yet. He was like Rocky Makave. I'm going to butcher the last name, so I'm not going to say it. But he became The Rock. But yes, wrestling was the thing before he was in every movie and all that. Yeah.
And that's the challenge with a lot of people today. What they see everybody doing today is what they think they need to be doing. And what they don't realize is that they're on step 1,000 and you're on step 1. And to be on step 1 means you need one well-performing business model with one designated audience. And until you have that lined up, you do not move on. And you've got too much dilution in the marketplace. And so when we think about how do we help people build their personal brands to help them build their business, what we focus on is what's the one audience that you're meant to serve. And I love Simon Sinek. He's one of my favorite thought leaders. And when he talks about his concept of start with why, I think that's very true for business brands, but it's not right when it comes to personal brands. When it comes to personal brands, it's not start with why, it's start with who. And the who is the audience. The who is the avatar. And if you get that part dialed in, then every question after that becomes very easy to answer. Where should you advertise? Where should you spend time online? Should you even be online? What messaging, what positioning, what packages, what should you charge? When should you increase your prices? All of that starts to be answered once you know intimately who your who is. And so what we find when it comes to personal branding, everything starts with who. Psychographics, demographics. You have to know what their limiting beliefs are, what their fears are, what their dreams are, what their goals are, everything about them. And a lot of people go, oh yeah, I've done the core target audience checklist before. I've done those avatar exercises. And then my response is usually, well, then tell me who your who is.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me who they are. And what I tell people is if you can tell me who your who is without getting emotional, then you have not done it right. Because when you know who that person is intimately, emotionally, then you should have a visceral reaction of why you do what you do, how you serve this person. And ultimately, there is a purpose beyond a dollar of why you feel so called to do the thing that you do for that person. And until you feel that way, you're just not there yet. You haven't tapped into it. And if I see you with 5 different business models and 6 different keynote topics and 14 different platforms, then I know that you have not done that exercise correctly because you wouldn't be in all those places because your avatar is not in all those places. They're not. They're in a consolidated place, and that's your job to figure out where they are.
Well, I'm over here. If you guys are listening, maybe you can feel the energy through the microphone, but I'm smiling ear to ear as AJ is saying this because I made that exact mistake. In the beginning, Social Chameleon, we were, oh, we'll help you build your Facebook presence and IG, and we'll do your content. Oh, you need video? We'll do video. Oh, you don't have a website that's really performing. We'll learn how to do that. Oh, well, you need people to find your website, so you need SEO. We do that all of a sudden. And I was trying to really do everything I possibly could to be successful. And I started to partner up with all the people that were smarter than me and knew how to do all that stuff. And I was really like the consultant to make it all happen. But I was not successful because I was trying to be everything to everyone. And I ended up being nobody because I didn't have a thing that I was directly focused on. And I accidentally fell in love with podcasting. I shared this with you a little bit off camera. And once I did that like reeled me in, thankfully, and I'm God's handprint all over it, and bundled me up and said, this is what you're going to do. And I just fell in love with it, And like you said, if you can't explain who you serve easily, like it should roll off your tongue. It's like if someone said, who's your husband and who are your family members? You can easily articulate that in 5 seconds. But if like, who do you serve in your business? Blah, blah, blah. And, all of a sudden it becomes this thing. And you're talking about that and this. And 2 minutes goes by and you're like, I don't even know what you're saying. Right.
Yeah.
So you know what you just did? You answered 2 questions with 1 answer, which is amazing. I don't think anyone's ever looked into my notes and said, I'm going to answer 2 questions with 1 response. So you said what not to do. And as you said what not to do, which was be too diversified up front, you also said what to do, which is to be very laser focused. Absolutely incredible. Now we're talking about you're doing that. You're laser focused on the thing you want to serve or the product or service you have. You know who it's for. You listen to Simon and you say, I know the why behind my business, which he used the Apple rep. I remember like his first popular video was talking about Apple as an example. And he did the understanding your why diagram. Mm-hmm. Everyone's doing that, right? So now your book's out. It's talking about emphasizing how people can create a digital machine that now generates warm leads 24/7 when you're sleeping, right? So what are some of the first steps someone needs to do to build that system?
Yeah. So I would say, again, it's going back to what I just said. It's the starting with the who, because when you know, and this is one of the things that I want to start with, and you didn't ask it, but I think it's worth saying. I don't think everyone needs to have a fully blown digital social media presence. We strongly believe that you should build where your audience is. And if your audience is not online, then what are you doing there? Mm-hmm. And we work with some clients who they're trying to meet high net worth family offices. And I'm like, well, let's talk about it for a second. Are those people hanging out on social media? No. Okay. Well, then what are we doing trying to build you a 24/7 social media ecosystem? Right now, it's one thing if it's like, hey, I'm building thought leadership for this X, Y, and Z thing. But for most of us, it's for lead generation. It's for more brand awareness. It's to gain market share. It's to find our right customer. And so I just want to start with, you go where your audience is. And sometimes that's not online. And I believe that there is so much emphasis on the online parts, which are important, that we forget the importance and the emphasis that also has to be on offline, real human relationships. Breaking bread with someone, picking up the phone and building a relationship with them. And I'm going to just use Lewis as a quick example of the importance of both. What Lewis did to help us start Brand Builders Group did not happen because of an online relationship and an online reputation. We had been building an offline relationship and reputation with Lewis for almost a decade before the online part.
Talking about Lewis House right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lewis House,
yeah, that's incredible.
Right? So we met Lewis on a cold PR pitch when my husband's first book, Roy Vaden's first book, Take the Stairs, came out in 2000 and what was that, 12? So I just want to be clear, was a human doing a cold pitch outreach to another human, right? Not a big podcast at the time. We had a very small social following at the time. That relationship began in a podcast interview like this. Then you fast forward over the course of the next 13 years, phone calls, emails, support, events, masterminds, just a friendship, a relationship is being built where there was trust being built because value was being given on both sides. Then when we went to start Brand Builders Group, Lewis was willing to have us on his podcast. And because of the trust that we had built with Lewis for a decade prior to that, then the trust that he had built with his audience through his podcast is why Brand Builders is what it is today. So
and if anybody's not aware, like there's going to be a lot of people listening that know who Lewis is from School of Greatness. That was his first book. Amazing podcast. He was actually on Grant Cardone's Power Players way back when, before he even had his own show, and shared his story about how he was a football player who had an injury. And then that forced him into, I think he was living on his sister's couch for a minute. And then he started a business and sold that for like over $1 million. And yeah, so that's his backstory. Is a really cool success story. Starts the School of Greatness podcast, is one of the early like business podcasts that really blew up, wrote the book. And he's just a great person, like super likable guy. I haven't had a chance to meet Lewis yet. Maybe somehow we can connect and make that happen. But like, he is someone who you just feels real good about connecting people. Like, hey, check out his show, check out his content, because he seems super genuine.
He's a super genuine, personable, humble, amazing human being. And so I think this is important for everyone, because when we talk about online presence, people immediately think, oh, that means you have to grow a big social following. Oh, that means you have to have a huge email list. And I'm telling you, no, it doesn't. When we started Brand Builders Group, and let me be clear, we are a personal brand strategy firm. But I need everyone who's listening to hear this. When we started Brand Builders Group, and we started Brand Builders Group in May of 2018, mainly because of Lewis. Lewis was like, let me have you on my podcast. We went on his podcast in July, 2 months after we started this business, with, note please, no website, no email list, no social media.
Wow.
No podcast.
Right.
We had nothing.
And this is a show that's had like the top, I think The Rock was on his show. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's had so many people on the show.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. I mean, he's had some of the biggest people in the world on his show, and he's interviewing you, which is an amazing thing. And I do feel you're worthy of being on. But at that time, you're like, how am I here? Right? Like, how is this happening?
Our business had barely gotten started. We had just finished a somewhat sudden and chaotic exit from our former business and our former business partners. So there was no time. There was no plan for Brand Builders Group. That didn't exist. There wasn't some business plan to build this. This was built in a crisis. This was built in the middle of chaos. And so when we agreed to go on the show, even though we weren't really sure what we were doing, to be honest, at the time, in a formal way, we had years of experience doing it, but not in a formal way. We went on this show to launch Brand Builders Group with no website, no podcast, no social media, no email list, with an unstylized landing page, with a picture of myself and my husband, Rory, with an orange button that said, please request a call here. And that's why this is so important. We launched a personal branding strategy firm with none of those things.
Yeah.
But we had two things. We had a trusted offline relationship with Lewis, and Lewis had a trusted online reputation with his audience. And at the end of that podcast, we had 1,000 call requests over the next 90 days.
Yeah.
And those 1,000 call requests turned into $500,000 in our first 6 months of business. And that is what funded, that's what allowed us to pay our mortgage, make payroll, and start Brand Builders Group.
Yeah.
But it wasn't with a website first. It wasn't with a visual identity. It wasn't with social media. It was with relationships, picking up the phone and saying, here's what I'm doing. Can you help?
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of times that's an incredible story, by the way. That's amazing. And thank you for sharing the behind the scenes of it and how you built it and what came from that opportunity. I'm sure Lewis felt like $1 million, literally, like knowing that he's helped you out too. Because, you know, he wanted to have you on to give you that opportunity, and it worked out. So plus it's a great story. I bet you I listened to it back then. I don't remember every single podcast episode I've ever listened to, but his show was one of the ones where I didn't miss an episode for a very, very long period of time.
No, so I want to get back to the question that you asked, though, because I don't want to not answer it. So just really quickly, I just think that's all really important. Now, when you get back to how do you start building this digital ecosystem, right? One of the things that we talk about in our book under the digital strategy chapter is what we call a revenue engine, right? And so this is something that we put into play called the content diamond. So when we talk about building an online revenue engine, what we put into practice, and this is something that anyone can do, is a content diamond. And that is simple repurposing of content, very focused repurposing of content. And I'll go through this really quick. But what we believe is that video performs best. So we start with a video always. And there are two different paths that you can go through once you have this recorded video. You can go through the text and imagery side, right? You can take that one video, have pull-out quotes, use Canva, and now you have carousels, you have static posts that you can use. Then you can actually just strip the audio and have mini podcasts that you can use if you want to use that to start a podcast. Then you have all the video that you can use, very simple things. You could just use the AI on Riverside to do this. There's so many different AI tools that if you have an original piece of content today, you can pop it in so many different AI tools, video tools today that says, make me a 30-second clip, make me a 67 clip. So there's no excuses today. You don't need to go hire expensive video editors. You don't need to go hire expensive graphic designers. AI is making this possible for anyone to be a media company today. And I think that's really important. But in that video, it's like we take one longer form piece of content, 5 to 7 minutes, and we're going to make a 2-minute, a 1-minute, and a 30-second. So now we've got all this short form content, long form content. We will throw it into AI. Now we have a blog content. We ask it to pull out captions and to create different headlines. All of that can be done from one original piece of 7 minutes of video. And I think this is the beginning of when you look at people and you're going, how are they doing all of this? They are doing it with a well-performing system of one piece of longer original content that can be the source of 13 to 15 other pieces of content that are not identical, but are similar in nature, but are tailored based on text, captions, visuals, video, audio. And that is the beginning of building a revenue engine that's duplicatable and repeatable, but most importantly, that's consistent. So one 15-minute content video shoot that you can do in your home office with Riverside can be content for the next 2 weeks for you. And as long as you're using some sort of good social posting tool, then schedule it out. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. They think they're not technology savvy. They think they have to hire all these people to do it, so they never get started. And you can do it, especially with the emergence of all these creative AI tools. It is easier than ever for you to build out 2 weeks of full content in an hour or less. And we go through exactly how to do that in our book. It's just one of the small pieces of online strategy. But the most important thing is just, I would say step one is that you have to have enough content and you have to have direct content to share for 7 minutes straight on video. And if you have that, the rest of it becomes very doable. Now, I'm not going to say easy, but it's very doable.
Right. And the key I got from you is the system. You have to teach people the system, follow a system. There's a reason that highly successful people are successful. They follow systems that work. They don't try to go rogue and figure things out when there's a system that works. What you just said is actually going to lead me into advertising our sponsors right now, because we do exactly what you just said. And obviously someone who's a personal brand, who's looking to implement all the tools you mentioned, I'm all about it. The reason that people hire us, socialchameleon.us, I'm giving us a shout out to our company and are taking a second to do our sponsorship. What people do is take their podcast episode, like you said, 7 minutes of content, or 15. In our situation, it's typically 30 to 60 minutes. They record that one episode and we turn it into their marketing engine, because now they have, they have reels, they have the full length that's on YouTube. They have all the audio versions of it as well. We pull out quote graphics. They can do an email blast. And so that one sit down interview turns into, like you said, 2 weeks. Some of our clients milk it to a whole month, where one episode's like a month of content for them. It's incredible. And so that is what we do. We do use AI tools as well, but one of our big benefits is the human side of it as well, still, to make sure we're connecting people with the right guests on their show. We're doing the booking for them, and we do everything from the content creation to the social media, all that stuff. So socialchameleon.us, you press record, we handle the rest. It's podcasting done for you. And also, a couple times this has been mentioned unintentionally in this interview, but Riverside, we're recording this episode on riverside.fm, and they're actually one of our affiliates. So I've been using Riverside now for multiple years. Many of our clients use it for their podcast. The reason we use it, you get high quality audio and video, and everything is broken into individual files. So then when you have someone like what we're talking about with AJ putting together your content on your marketing team, they can actually get high quality content from it, opposed to using some of those older systems that don't do great video. Riverside.fm. And lastly, if you're wondering, how do you get this podcast on Apple and Spotify and do distribution? We use libsyn.com. It's libsyn.com. And I have all those links for you in the show notes as well. So that is how we pay the bills right there. I got you for like 2 more minutes. And there's a question that I was excited when I was preparing to ask you about, because I saw a recent Instagram post where you're talking about your family and your business and everything you love. I want you to give some advice to entrepreneurs that are tuning in, mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, right? People who are the CEO of their business and also their household, and how they can manage everything. Because I know that's more than a 2-minute answer, but manage it and then also get their family involved. Is there a magic that you found to involve your family members? I know obviously your husband.
That's great.
But,
yeah. I love that. And here's what I would say. How do you manage it all? You don't.
Great.
It's an honest answer. You have to surrender to the fact that you need help.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Think, I don't know. I can't speak to men, dads, husbands, because I'm not one. But I can speak to women, wives, moms. And it's really hard to accept help even when we need it. There's this inner desire, at least me, for a mom as a wife, and a lot of women I know, that I should be able to do this. Like, I should be able to figure this out on my own. I should be able to handle this. And the truth is we weren't meant to do it alone. Families weren't meant to do it alone. Businesses aren't built alone. Families are not raised alone. Marriages don't survive alone. And you've got to be willing to accept help. You've got to be willing to ask for it, but just as importantly, willing to receive it. And I was on an interview the other day and they're like, well, you're talking about all this help. Like, what if you can't afford it? And I said, I didn't say you even have to pay for it. You just have to be willing to receive it. Because how many of us has someone in our lives said, hey, you have so much going on. Can I bring you dinner? Or can I? And it's like, I can tell you, in this very insane season that we've been living in, between a book launch and a move of a house and kids out for school, I've had several friends be like, how can I help? And I'm like, I've got it. I've got it. I don't got it. I'm like running around with my head cut off. Like, I don't got it.
You have a 6 and 8-year-old. You got 2 boys, right? 6
I've
and 8.
got 2 very testosterone driven little boys who
running
are
around
24/7 energy, and I don't got it. But there's this inner I got it mentality. If I can do it, and it's like, oh, I'll just, I'll use Postmates. And I'm reluctant to receive help. So yes, sometimes you need to pay for it, and it needs to be formal help. It needs to be a house cleaner or an assistant or staff members. And yes, and sometimes if we're not in a position to afford that or hire that yet, you just have to be willing to receive it, because you can't manage it all and be happy and peaceful and restful. That doesn't exist. We have got to just accept that we're not supposed to do all of this by ourselves. So that would be the first thing. The second thing about involving your family. So I have 2 awesome kids that we get the unique ability to homeschool. I am not a homeschooler. I have mad props to everyone I know who is that. I was not built for that, but my kids go to a homeschool academy, and that gives me the unique opportunity to involve my children in my work. And it is our business. And so we have said from the get-go, this is our family business. And so when we're picking out branding, my kids get to cast their vote. When we have in-person events in Nashville, my kids get to help MC, or they're taking out the trash, or they're selling their cookies at lunch. My kids are my personal accountability partners. They know that every single day at 5 p.m., if mommy is still in her office, they have full permission to bust down this door and shut my computer down. Like, this is a family environment, but they're my accountability partners. They wear as much BBG swag as anybody else in our company does, but they see this as their business too. This isn't mom's work. This isn't dad's work. This is our work. And so they have just as much participation and involvement in making this something awesome as we do. And that's because we invite them into it. They get to be a part of it. They get to know our team. They get to know the kids of other employees in our team. We have social events. But I think a part of it is, like, if you want it to be a family business, and not everyone does, we do, then you've got to invite them into the process. Give them a job, put them on payroll, do whatever you got to do. But at the very least, let them be a part of it, because they are.
Yeah, that's an incredible response right there, because I think a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, like the magic is in the juggle and the balance, and we do this, but we also do that to kind of counter. And I respect all of those answers too, but I think it takes a lot of vulnerability to just simply say you cannot do it all by yourself. It takes a village. Find your village. The villagers could be family members that live nearby, a close friend that you trust, someone that can maybe take your kid to their band practice or something, or whatever you got going on, soccer practice. It could be you and Rory juggling it all too. And I thought that was really great. And I love just the fact of your 2 little guys getting involved, and the life lessons and things that they're learning on a day-to-day basis are so incredible. And so I just encourage anyone who's listening to really get your kids involved at whatever level you feel is right. I try to do that myself with Isabel, my daughter, and sometimes she's interested, and sometimes she's like, I don't want to do that, but she's actually helped me build things in Canva. Yeah. And I jokingly tell her, I'm like, hey, when you're ready, we'll get you your company laptop and you can start working with us and start building some content for us. And she wants to start a YouTube channel so bad. It's hilarious. And we're going to do it together. She's 10, so she loves all of her different toys that she loves to unbox, and she watches the unboxing videos. And I'm like, Izzy, you watch his videos all the time. Why don't you talk about doing a YouTube channel? So I told her we're going to do one at some point. So there's that little intro. I know we went a little bit over and you got to run. I want you to know I am super grateful to have you here today with us to share your heart, share your business knowledge and expertise. So many people that listen to this are going to get a lot of value. I always end every episode with these 2 things: be great and be grateful. And you are great in what you're doing. You are doing it at a high level, greatness level. And I can hear in your heart that there's a lot of gratitude. And so I'm grateful for you being here today. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Mike. This was an awesome conversation. Thank you for the honor of having me on.